Welcome to Austin, man.
Cause we Austin, Texas, marching, stepping, hands on our weapons, cause boys be flexing. Daily in the game like a pin 'em off the chain. These boys are hard to tame, can't do nothing love it, man. Cause we Austin, Texas, marching, stepping, hands on our weapons, cause boys be flexing. Daily in the game like a pin 'em off the chain. These boys are hard to tame, can't do nothing love it, man. Well, I be crossing while in Austin and them boys gon' hate. Some boys be popping trunk, but I be popping tailgates. The trophy truck, shit no book, I'm about to get loose.
What's up, world? This is Albert Redeaux, a.k.a. Mad Creole for the Austin Icons podcast. Today's guest is an Austin hip-hop pioneer. He is an ATX legend, a producer, MC, world-famous MC, a businessman. Welcome to the show, Terrany, or as we call him, T-Dub. What's up, man?
What's up? That's how you know we close. You know what I'm saying? When people can say the real name. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's how I gauge my relationships, right? Like, if you know Terrany, then we go back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I've been T-Double so long. Some people think T-Double is like my name, right?
Trust me.
I've been that so long.
I'm Creole.
You know? Yeah.
They done took my name and chopped it into pieces. I'm Mad Creole. Yeah. I'm Creole. Then they'll go Albert Redeaux. Then they call me Redeaux. Like, dude, I done forgot who I was. Only way I know that somebody really, really know me, they'll call me Little Albert. And I'm like, oh, you family. You so far back. You done got all into my childhood, and that ain't good.
Exactly.
Well, man, we gonna start this off right off the bat. Where are you from originally? And if you're from Austin originally, which, you know, I know a lot of this stuff, people be like, you don't know. I know. But, you know, where were you born and where were you raised? Let's get that started.
Yeah. Well, you know, once again, it's T-Double. Born and raised in Austin, Texas. I'm from the soil, man. You know, born at Breckenridge Hospital. That's old school. Grew up off of 12th Street, right over there, 12th and 11th, a little bit over there by Victory Grill, a little bit. And yeah, you know, so I'm from the town. You know what I mean? And just, you know, my parents, they just moved around. You know what I mean? Like, moved from over there, then moved into apartments, and every step was to, like, get me and my brother into better environments, better schools, better things. So, you know, thankful to them to help us, you know, help me see other things besides that little corner we lived on, which is like a shopping center now or something over there. Right? It's been gentrified. Right. It's something right there on that corner.
We don't know what it is anymore.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. When I drive around the city and people are like, hey, meet me over here, I'm like, what did that used to be? They're like, oh, that used to be so and so. Okay, I know where that is.
That used to be the drug spot.
Exactly.
That's what I be looking at. Man, I'm like, I used to know what that was. Now I don't know what it is no more. Yeah, man, it's crazy seeing Austin. Austin is grew. It's like a whole different place. I get lost. I don't even know where I'm going half the time anymore. Yeah. I try to stay, you know, like as much as I can here and there and then jump and then go back to the house. Yeah. But all right, so did you come from a musical family, or are you the only one that did those music?
I'm really the only one, you know, in my immediate family, my immediate household, right? Like my dad, you know, like almost every black household, my mom played records, right? So we always had music in the house, but nobody was an artist, right? Nobody played piano, like on Sunday, like some people got pianos in their house, like my grandmother had piano. Right. So, but nobody around me immediately was like a musician, you know, full time, or that's what they wanted to be. Like my uncle, he played, you know, he gave me my first guitar when I was probably like 9. And, you know, recently, like maybe a year ago, he gave me one of his old trumpets. So he always had instruments around, but he wasn't a professional guy. He just kind of tinkered it with it. But as far as people who are far as people who really pushed it, I'm like the only one. You know what I'm saying?
So did you, like, what made you just, when you were growing up, did you just gravitate towards like certain types of music, or did you know at an early age, you're like, man, I'm hearing something and man, I like that, or you saw something that inspired you to start doing music?
Yeah, I think it was really like, because I went to Maplewood Elementary as well. I went to school all the way through Austin. So went to Maplewood Elementary, and I think I might have been like around 7, and I had real bad asthma, right? Like asthma was insane. I was always in the hospital with asthma. You know, it was horrible. So I couldn't always go, you know, play reindeer games, so to speak. I couldn't go on recess a lot, right? So I was always in the classroom, and my music teacher, Miss Bryant, I remember her name. She I used to sit in the classroom, just draw and play chess and, do stuff by myself because I was a sick kid. She took me to the music room one day, and there was a piano in there and a whole bunch of instruments. And she sat down and started playing, and I sat down beside her, and I was like, that's kind of interesting. You know what I'm saying? Like, what you're doing with that, because she wasn't playing gospel. She was playing jazz. She was playing different types of music, other stuff, right? Because when I heard people play the piano and organs, it was always jazz. I mean, always gospel.
Gotcha.
So she was doing all, so she was doing all this other stuff, and I was like, man, I said that's kind of cool. So I sat at the piano, and I'm a quick learner, so by watching her, I was picking up chords and all those type of things. And so that day, she was like, she said, well, there's a music competition they're having in Texas for kids in elementary to submit songs. And she was like, would you like to submit a song? And at this part, I wasn't like all in on music. It was still very new, right? And so she was like,
how old were you at this time?
I was like 7, turning 8.
Okay.
And so she was like, write this piano piece, just play some stuff on the piano you'd like, and she notated it. So I played and she wrote it, right?
Oh, wow.
And she submitted that, and I got like an honorable mention in the contest, which was like thousands of kids in Texas. So when I got that, my mother put my picture in the Statesman, right? I didn't win, but she still gave me that love, the support, right? Like, way to go. Right. And after that, I was like, I said, this music thing, people are kind of checking me out, right? Like, I'm doing something good, right? I was kind of the class clown in school. And I was like,
me too.
This could be something. This could be something else I'm known for besides cracking jokes all day. So I just picked up on it, and then the next year, when I turned 8, my mom had got me like a 4-track, the cassette recorder 4-track, a realistic microphone from like Radio Shack, like bare bones setup, Casio keyboard, not even the SK5, just like one of those old white ones with like waltz and samba, with that on. So
one finger.
It just had the one chord change with a push it. So she gave me that, and I was like, this is cool. So whenever she would go to Sears on Sundays to shop, it was like her day to go shop for the house, whatever, I would go with her, and I would take my dad's blues cassette from KZI, right? I would steal those, go to Sears at Hancock Center, and I would get a boom box, and I would take the boom box by the keyboards. So I put the cassette in the boom box, and I would sit the keyboard in front of the boom box, in front of the speaker, and I would use those patterns and sing or rap or poetry. And this was like, man, for a while, almost every Sunday. So I recorded, like, every time I went to Sears, I probably recorded 5 to 6 songs off those patterns. Gotcha. I would do a song for 3 minutes, stop, stand there by the gear, don't say nothing. That's what I heard on records, right? They had that space between songs. So I would stand there, couple of, a minute, start another beat. Sing, rap, stop. Sing, rap, stop, until I made like 5 beats per tape. And then I told my mom, I think I want to get a record deal. And my mom was a teacher. She recently retired maybe 10 years ago. She was my teacher, actually, and my brother. And she was like, well, if you're going to do this, how are you going to do it? Like, she always made me and my brother think, right? Like, what steps are you going to take to achieve that goal? You just can't say, I want to be that. How are you going to do it?
Right.
So then, this is where my dad's records come in. I went through his records, and when I was flipping through the records, I came across Prince. Controversy, I think it was the album. And I pulled it out, and I looked on the back, and it said, produce, compose, perform, everything by this one guy.
Everything by one dude.
Everything, right? And it was Warner Brothers Records. And I said, well, I write, I produce, I guess I compose, I guess I arrange, right? You didn't really know what those words were. And me and my mom caught the bus to the post office downtown, and we mailed off my demo to Warner Brothers. And that was when I was 8 years old. And they wrote me back and was like, they sent the regular generic letter, right? Like, thank you.
Right.
This is awesome. They knew I was a kid because I wrote a letter too saying, hey, I'm 8 years old and I would like to be on your record label, and I think I'm as good as Prince was my letter.
Right. Oh, snap. Okay.
And so they wrote me back and was like, hey, we're not signing any young kids right now, but keep going. And when I got that letter, when I got that letter back, that was the battery. because then I felt seen. Then I felt seen.
Yeah,
by
that jump started.
A label. Then I was like, okay, I'm just not the kid from Maplewood and the kid running the streets and doing whatever. I was like, it's on now. So then I just started saving my money, buying gear, staying in the house and just recording and knocking it out. But yeah, I would say Maplewood with the music teacher, and then when I mailed my demo at around 8 years old is when it really jumped off, where I was really like, okay, I need a name. I need to call myself something, you know.
Something.
And I think when I started, my first name was TJ Jam. And this is all exclusive on your podcast. A lot of people don't know.
Yeah. I want all the the good.
But I was called TJ Jam for Terrany Johnson Jams, right?
Man.
So I was that for a little bit when I sent the demo in. And I was like, TJ Jam ain't, you know, it sounds like I'm a DJ.
Right.
It has like a DJ vibe to me, right? I was like, I'm not. So then I transitioned to Whistle T. And that's where a lot of people really started knowing me a little bit more when I became Whistle T. And I became Whistle T because I used to whistle like the girls when I was young at Maplewood. So everybody started calling me Whistle T because I was always like trying to hit on the girls, right? And then when I got to Keeling, I became Whistle T-E-E. That's where the T-E-E came in. That's part of T-double.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And the T-E-E was because a friend of mine named Mark Pennant, who was he was like, you know, he was like the star of the school, the athlete, star athlete. And he was always the T-E-E, he was always calling me T-dub. He would say T-dub, T-double, T-double-E, T-double-E. He would never say whistle, but they T-double-E. And he said it one day, and this is right around I met Charles Chili Fresh, right, from Dope Melody, and met him, and I was like, T-double-E. I was like, that sounds cool, but it sounds too long. I said, how about I just call myself T-double?
Right.
And then people started hearing T-double, and it just clicked. And so since I was 13, I've been T-double.
Got you. See, we had your other half on here as well. We had Chili Red and
that's my dog.
Man, that, you know, it's kind of crazy to think about it. I remember, I'm a little older than y'all, I think. So I was already touring when I was 11. So I was out there running around. But I remember Dope Melody. I remember the name. I remember it ringing like it was it was something special. You know what I mean? And it was a crazy thing because at that time it wasn't. I don't know, people that are not from here. If you don't know, in that era or in that time frame, hip hop in Austin, it was almost like you had a little tier. You had Cass and them, and a little bit above Cass. There's a little small little trickle before Cass and them, and then you get Cass. Cass is like the beginning in my my thought process. He's always like the beginning. Him and a couple other people like really started the fire. Just boom, it just went up. And so then Quince and all them, and you know, so when that fire got lit, the ones of us, I knew Cass when I was young. So by the time I got to LBJ, it was on. I mean, it was just a full flame. I mean, it was just crazy. And most of the kids went to my school were the DJs and Pat Love and KB and all, I mean, you know, you name it, all them dudes with me. You know, Candace Fresh was my classmate, so all of us was all in one school together. But and it kind of was like we thought we was the only ones doing anything because we LBJ. And if it ain't at Reagan, then it's at LBJ. But when I heard Dope Melody, I was already out, and I was like, "What's that? Like, what is it? What's Dope Melody?" Because first of all, it was a hell of a name. And at the same time, I started hearing these shows and beats and rapping, and I'm like, yo, what the hell is that? And it took a minute for me to figure out exactly where you guys were. By the time I caught up to you, you guys had already kind of not broke up, but you had started to move in a separate way. And Chili was doing beats. You was already moving in your direction, heading onto the radio stations and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, didn't I just hear Dope Melody? Where the hell that go? Tell me more about Dope Melody.
Yeah, man, it's like, you know, like last year they did the Austin Hip Hop Honors Award, right?
And congratulations.
I appreciate it. And I got up there and I really shouted out Charles, you know what I mean, Chili Fresh, because I never leave him out of my story. When I'm interviewed in magazines, papers, I never leave him out of that story, because when I met him, I keep calling him Charles because I know him so well. But when I met Chili, we was in the Keelan courtyard, Keelan Junior High, and everybody was rapping. There was a group of guys that was rapping that was like the cool guys, right? And me and Chili, we weren't really the cool kids. You know what I'm saying? We was kind of off to the side, like nerds, kind of. And we saw these guys rapping, and I was like, yo, I could do that. And they was like, yo, but, you know, nobody wanted to beatbox for me. They, you know what I mean? Everybody just clicked up. They clicked up, right? Yeah. Because now the quiet kid is stepping up with his notebook and backpack all the time. And I'm just like, all right, let me go. And they like, who's going to beatbox for you? And at that time, nobody was really a cappella rhyming. You got to have somebody beating on the table, beatboxing. And,
you got to have somebody.
You know what I mean? And Charles was off to the side, and I remember him beatboxing. And he was like, I can do it. I got you. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, you sure? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, what's your name? He was like, Charles. And I'm Terrany. We dapped it up. He started beatboxing for me. And I was like, yo, that's kind of fire. Like, we really mashed it out. Because in the Keelan courtyard, it's like, it has like a dome feel to it. So when you beatbox, it's really, it reverbs, right? It reverberates. So he's beatboxing and I'm rhyming, and my style was different than what everybody else was doing, that we just caught fire. People was like, our name traveled from different schools to Pierce, to here, to there. Everybody was like, dope melody, dope melody. You know, the fellas was booking a lot of shows at the time because they were around our age too. And they was like, yo, we want y'all on our shows. So they're the ones who really like got us out there doing shows, the fellas. You know what I mean? Yeah. So then we just started rocking all these shows, and then me and Charles was like, man, we need some equipment. So we would take our money, go to the pawn shop, rent like a Roland 606 drum machine, and we'd rent it for like a week, right? 'Cause we were scrapping money together. And we would get the drum machine, go to his house or my house, and we got like a SK5, right? Okay. The little sampler that has like the yellow pads on it, like 8 yellow pads. It had like a lion and a laser and basic, right?
You bringing my memory back, dude.
Yeah, basic. Everybody started on that. So we had the Roland 606 and the SK5, and I told Charles, I said, well, I can sample. Let's use the Roland 606 for the drums, and let's sample extra sounds like a horn hit or something over here. And so we would be at his house or at my house, and I would be making the beats. Like almost all the early dope melody stuff you heard, I produced it. So we would be at his crib, and we would have the Roland going, and then I would be on the SK5, like our early songs, like Let My Rhymes Flow and all those. I would play the beat for like 4 minutes straight. No sequencer, right? So I'm like, I'm making the beat 4 minutes straight, loading it down. And then Charles would come with the cuts, and then he would make some beats, right? So it was a real 50-50 type of thing. But that's how we made our first demos, man. And then I was just like, yo, man, Charles, like, we need a name, right? Like, what we gonna call ourselves? And I was like, you know, let's just call ourselves Dope Melody because we dope, and our music is melodic to me with what we were doing at the time. And he was like, cool, because we could play off of it, right? Like, dope means drugs. Dope means really fresh, right? Yeah. So we brought the city together, you know, in the hood and everybody else off of that. And then I don't know if you remember, we went and got like red outfits. This was before gang stuff really popped off in Austin. Yeah. We had like a whole red jumpsuit, and on the back of our jumpsuit at Highland Mall, we got some spray paint Dope Melody over a brick wall. And so that became our thing. When you saw us, we saw them jackets, you was like, oh, there go Charles and T. You know what I mean? That just became our thing. And man, me and Charles, bro, like, the thing is when you're really friends with somebody, you know what I'm saying? And you're making music with them, it's like you're really enjoying that time of making that music. Like, we weren't thinking about becoming big. We weren't thinking about becoming big and becoming famous. We talked about it, and I was like, yo, if we work on this hard enough, we can do it, because I already mailed my stuff to Warner Brothers years prior. Right. So I was like, they'll listen if we come, knocking it. But then we just started doing a lot of shows. Yeah, we just started doing a lot of shows, man, and recording all these things. We both went to Reagan. We were at Reagan. And it's funny you say LBJ because those were like two different boroughs, right? That was like Brooklyn and Queens, right? Because you had LBJ, and LBJ was like, yo, we the, you know what I mean, with Quince and all that, we the, and then you had Reagan, and we was like, nobody beats the R, right? Like we was on this whole Rock Kim thing, nobody beats the R. So it was to have those two comparisons, and like you said, we didn't really know what was going on at LBJ either. We was just like, oh, we over here killing it at Reagan. You know what I mean? Papa Chuck would be around. I think later generations like Nook is from Reagan. A lot of other people like came through there. You know what I'm saying? But Dope Melody, man, that was a pivotal, a very big point in my life to really show me how to make records, right? Because then I started learning how to write my raps, like verse, bar, bridge. You know what I'm saying? When I used to just rap, and just rap for like 10 minutes. So I was known for freestyle. I was just known for freestyling. I still am, but that was my thing back then. I got so popular freestyling. So a lot of our early demos, the hooks would be made, and I would freestyle the song. And then I started learning how to write better, and then I got introduced to Casanova. I think I got introduced to Casanova through Papa Chuck, maybe. I think Papa Chuck might have made that intro. And then that's when Cass was like, yo, you gotta work on your song structures. Like he was the real one, right? Like, yo, you can rap, you tight. You know what I mean? And this is when and then the gangster rap started coming out a little bit at that transitional point, and a lot of groups were going that way, right? Being a little bit more harder, a little bit more street. And I didn't want to do that. And Dope Melody was kind of going that way, like let's be a little bit more street, let's be a little bit more tougher now because we're older, right? Like let's follow that. And I was like, I have other ideas that I want to do, and y'all want to do that, so y'all can keep the name. Y'all can keep, like, it wasn't even no tripping. You know, with Charles and with Tim Shorts, right? It was just like, y'all, it was like y'all go do y'all thing, and I go, it's like y'all go do y'all thing, and I go do my thing, and it was all love. Like a lot of people thought when the group separated, because it wasn't even like no big breakup. It was like, all right, then I'll holler at you next week or whatever. It was really like that.
As I noticed that through the times, I've noticed that you guys always kick it with each other, and y'all never, you know, it wasn't no beef. Cool.
Yeah, but you know, at that time, people like rap beef. You know what I'm saying? Like there was a lot of diss records, and so they wanted me and Charles.
They're gonna make a beef.
So they wanted me and Charles to go at each other, but we homies. Like he used to come to my house. We used to break dance. We used to go up the street and get cardboard to break. You know what I mean? Like childhood friends. Like can't nobody come in between that and try to ruin that situation. You know what I mean? So it was like, yo, y'all be Dope Melody. I'll go try to figure out what I'm doing over here because I want to make more beats. I want to try to, you know, rap and whatever. And then I just happened to come across Cass, get it, you know, fall into his realm of artists. Because Cass, I always compare Cass like Marley Marl. Like everybody under Cass was like the Juice Crew.
Right.
We were like the Juice Crew.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you had Dollars and Sons.
Yeah.
Who was putting on Mirage, who later I got a record deal for. You know what I mean? You had myself. You had Papa Chuck. You had the Coolie Girls. You had Gary G, the Kingpin. You had a lot of people that was coming through there. So we was like the Juice Crew. And Cass was always like Marley Marl. Like he always had beats like, yo, T, you ready? So-and-so, you ready? And he was like, if you, like he, you know, the Sweatbox. You know the Sweatbox, that closet where he's had people go in there and rap. So if you go in the Sweatbox, you probably get 2 tries before he's like, nah, this beat ain't for you. And you got to sit it out.
Man, that's Cass.
Or go home. You know what I mean? Cass. So we would have people come over there and be sitting on the couch mad, like in Belly. Remember in Belly when DMX had that dude sitting on the couch? We had people over there sitting on that couch looking like that, right? Really hot. Because they was like, damn. They was like, man, I didn't even I was like, man, you got to go in there. Like Chuck, everybody told me, when you go over here to Casanova's house, be ready. Don't go over there playing. Be ready. And when I got in there, I first got in the hot box, I was knocking out rhymes. Bam, bam, bam. So, you know, he saw the work, right? And he was like, okay, well, you know, I'm going to tell you this story. I was at Cass one night, and he was like, yo, I'm going to go get some chicken or something, some KFC, Popeyes or something. He was like, I'll be back in like 30 minutes or something. He said, you know, Cass had like, you know, MPC 60, the ASR, he had like SB12, he had like almost 2 of each. And he was like, I'm going to go get something to eat, and when I come back, I want to hear a beat you made on each one of these machines. I had never touched any of those machines before. Never touched the MPC, never touched I don't know if it was ASR or EPS. I think it was ASR, SP12. I had never touched any in my life. I didn't know how to turn them on. And he was like, when I come back, I want to beat off each one of those machines. He left. I'm like, how do you turn it on? How do you? Damn, right? Like, you know, I need a lifeline, right? Like, who can I call? Let me call Matt Creo. I need to call somebody. How do you turn it on? So I finally got it on, right? God. I finally got it on. I'm at the MPC 60. I knock out a little rinky-dink. I said, that's a beat. I moved to the ASR, pushing the buttons and the keys, moving on. Get to the SP12, sliders, working it, moving on. Cass comes in with the chicken. What's up, T? I said, man, chillin'. He's like, you make them beats? I said, yeah, man, I made some, yeah, hell yeah, I made some beats, right? He started playing them beats, dog, and he was like, horrible, terrible, disgusting. He was like, he was like, that's what I like about Cass and Andre Walker. They were the two realists in my life. Cass was like, these are horrible. God. These are disgusting. Like, I'm sitting in there, when he walk in, I'm like, I'm bobbing. I'm like, oh yeah, Cass gonna feel this. Oh yeah, Cass gonna. Oh shit. I done stepped up from the SK5 to an MPC 60. It's so okay. Oh yeah, I know what I'm doing. Cass was like, nah. He was licking his fingers off that chicken, and he was like, nah, man, this is unsuitable. And I was like, oh damn. So I thought he was gonna kick me out. I thought he was gonna boot me out. It was late at night too, and Cass picked me up. So I thought he was gonna get his keys and, you know, hop in the Suburban or whatever he had at the time, Bronco or something, and say, let's go. He said, but I like that you tried. He said, other people that came over here and just gave up and said, I don't know how to do it. He said, you tried, and they're decent. They're horrible. They're trash, but they're decent, right? He was like, let me show you, you know, let me show you how to make them better, right? Like, he told me, he's like, yo, like Cass would tell you, like, those beats were trash. And he was like, let me show you how to make them better. Let me show you how to sequence. Let me show you how to quantize. Let me show you how to this. And so almost every day or every other day, I'm at Cass' house just sitting on that couch, peeping game. Like Sockeye would come through, so-and-so would come through, Prince Paul, different people would come out for the record convention. Yeah. And I'd be that cat sitting over there just peeping game like, okay. So then when Cass asked me to make another beat, now I'm kind of cold. I'm kind of on it, right? He's like, okay. Right. Okay, now go rap. And I'm rapping. He's like, you rapping too long. Don't nobody want to hear a 10-minute rap. So then he started talking about, you know, songs are like 3.5 minutes at the time, right? Like, they got to be within this much. You got to do this. So he really showed me how to structure songs, and he introduced me to Andre Walker, who was doing South by Southwest at the time. Yeah. And I submitted my demo to Andre. Andre said, this is trash. Right? He was like, no. He said, the beat is cool.
Shout out to Andre.
The beat is cool. Andre Walker, real one. He said, the beat is cool, but you rapping too long. Shit. You don't got a hook, right? You don't got nothing to, you know, you just rapping. Anybody can rap. What about you is going to make you? And I was like, and I remember Andre had the Bronco. We was in Andre's Bronco playing my cassette tape. And he told me it was straight trash while he's driving. And I was like, damn, well, every show that I do in Austin, I'm kind of live, right? Like, people kind of cheer for me. Yeah, like, I'm kind of the shit, right? But he was like, nah, B. Nah. He's like, you need to work on them hooks, man. He was like, you ain't got no hooks. And I was like, what's a hook? Right. Man, you got to work on this. You got to work on that. So Dre and Cass, man, was really, you know, put me on the game and really helped chisel me into an artist and not just that raw, hungry cat that was at every show.
Raw MC.
You know, because I would hear people on the radio like KVRX, right? Over there on the UT's campus. I would hear people come to town and be on the radio freestyling. I would get in my car and go to the radio station and like on air battle. I was that dude. I would just show up and be like, what's up? What's up? Right. Somebody get on the radio, like Atmosphere or Souls of Mischief would get on the radio and be like, ain't no rappers in Austin? Where's the I was known for just pulling up on the radio station like, what's up? Let's go. Dead Prez was up there. Awesome. Let's go. Anybody, let's go. What's up? Ain't no rappers here? Let's go. And, you know, there's tapes of when I went to the radio station where they'd be like, T-Double walking in, and it would just be on site. the beats running. They might be rapping on site. I hop on the other mic. So I got known for that energy.
Give people an insight to the radio station at UT, because I think, we talk about KZI a lot, and we give, we always give them they props, but that's another big integral part in Austin's past and future, and we have to always identify it. So give us a little bit of insight on that too.
Yeah, well, during that time, probably like the end of the 90s or so, like that. The University of Texas at Austin have a radio station called KBRX. It's still there. It's still on and going. But at this particular time on Thursday nights, there was like 4 hip-hop shows kind of back to back to back. You had the B-side. I don't even remember all of them all. But it was like 3 or 4 shows. Then you had Mike Swing, who did like an R&B show. I kind of joined his show, right? It became Freaky Mike and Sexy T. That's another podcast. And so it was back to back to back hip-hop shows, right? But there was a courtyard out front, and there's a picture I need to send to you. There's a picture of like all these rappers posing outside the back door of the radio station, because that's how many people would show up. Everybody would show up to be in the courtyard rhyming, freestyling. I could make a demo that night, get in my car, take it to them, and they would put it on the air within 10 minutes. You know what I mean? It was just that love, right? House of Fat Beats, B-sides. That was another one that was on there. And then Brother K, he was on the same dial, but during the day where it was like co-op, where it switched. Yeah, where you had, Brother K show with Les, Lil Tiger. And so that was a great place for us to hear new music, right? That was probably the first place we really heard like Mobb Deep, a lot of stuff that was on Loud Records, because all the DJs there were street teams for labels. Right. So they would get all the stuff before anybody else would. So I would always be up there and be like, man, what is that? Is that new Wu-Tang? Or is that new soul? Is that the Alcoholics? Loud Records? Like, damn. So it was just a good environment for everybody to be like, Bavu would be there, and everybody would just come, and we were just young and hungry, right? Like, we weren't even in crews. Nook showed up later on towards the end, right? We were just like, yo, I like what you do. I like what you do. Yo, we should do a show together. We should do a show together. And that's how it was a lot of camaraderie up there, and that's what radio stations are for, where the DJs don't have attitudes. They're not playing favorites. You know what I'm saying? They're like, if you bring us something hot, we'll play it. If you bring us something and we play it and it's not hot, we're not going to play it again, but we'll give you a shot to bring something else and try again. You was never X'd out, and this kind of leads to when I got my deal with Good Vibes, who was through Interscope in like 99. Okay. KBRX was part of a pool of college DJs that went to San Diego to the Gavin. I don't know if you remember the Gavin Music Conference.
Yeah, I remember Gavin. Yeah, I've been to.
It was kind of like it was kind of like the top hip hop place before South by Southwest kind of jumped off.
That's right.
And so they were going to the Gavin, and I wanted to go. I didn't have no money, none, for a plane ticket, nothing. And I was like, damn, man, that sounds dope. DJ Mike Swing, always in my heart. I always give him love too. He fronted me some money to go to the Gavin. So,
man, that's awesome.
I go to, and at this time I'm working at South by Southwest too, so that lets you know how much they was paying people who worked there, right? Where I didn't even have no money to like. That's another podcast, right? So we get to San Diego. I got stories within stories, right? So it's the multiverse. So we get to San Diego. And I had the South by Southwest stuff in my bag because I'm supposed to kind of promote and, I dump all that out. I fill it up with my cassettes and all my stuff. So we're walking around. I get kind of sick towards the end of it. It's a Sunday. It's raining. And all the DJs from KVRX and from Houston and whatever, they said there's a party going on at a taco spot. We go to the tacos. The taco spot had like Capadonna there, Razzcazz, Kid Capri. It was like the end party, right? The final joint. Right. I'm sick. I'm not feeling good. It's raining. Mike Swing was like, yo, you should really come, right? Like, get out the hotel, like, whatever. So we walk like 2 blocks in the rain. We get to this place, it's jumping. Like, oh, shit, there's so-and-so. Oh, shit, there's Capadonna before he really blew up with the Wu-Tang. Oh, Cameron. That was when Cameron first launched with Entertainment, when he was with Un. And it was like, all these people were just starting. And so everybody started rapping. And these rappers are just rapping and passing the mic in San Diego. I forget it's the taco spot. I'm sitting with the group of DJ. They're like, yo, T, go hop in the line. Go rhyme. And at this moment, I really felt like I was whack before I got up there, right? 'Cause I was like, yo, that's Razzcast though. That's Capadonna though. That's Wu-Tang though. Yeah. Right? Like Too Short was there. Right? I'm like, these are I'm cool in Austin, but this is a whole nother league. And they was like, nah, get up there. Just do you.
Yeah, you gotta go test your skills.
I got up there and I think Razzcast passed me the mic. I got behind him, he gave me the mic. And I just went in, rapping fast, doing all the stuff I do, talking about Austin. And I passed the mic, and everybody, who was with me was like, yo, Austin, like, was pumped, right? I went to the bathroom to kind of cool down, and then I came out, and Les, who was part of House of Fat Beats, he brought this guy named Matt Kahane over who had started a label called Good Vibe Recording. And Good Vibe was like, you remember Raucus? That was in the East Coast with like High Tech, Kweli, all them. Yeah. Good Vibe was like the West Coast version. So he brought him over to me, and old boy was like, yo, that was dope, right? Do you want to make a record? That was the conversation. And I said, yeah, I'd like to make a record. But, because at this time as well, this is another story we can get into later, I was working at Arista Records here. I was doing A&R and marketing here. So I knew a little bit about ownership and, I knew a little bit about ownership, masters, all that. So I told him, I said, sure, we can make a record if I can own it, if we can have a label deal. I don't want to be an artist. Because I saw how dudes were getting deals here at Arista, right? Right. And I didn't want to be in that machine. So he was looking at me like, you're from where? I'm like, I'm from Austin. And then, they like, Austin ain't shit, right? You ain't from Houston. Right. I was like, but that's what I want. I said, that's what I want. If you want to work with me, I said, and you have to send me a package of all the artists you signed and where they were on the charts, right? Like where were they on the charts? Where just send me that so I know what you have done. Prove yourself to me. Yeah, that's right. And he was like, all right. He was like, all right. Yeah, he was like, all right, okay, cool. He dapped me up, and it was like the dap was kind of like whatever type of dap, right? Like, all right, dog, all right, good to meet you, right? The next week on a Monday, I got the package from him with all these records, all the charts, like. So I said, okay, he want to do something. So I hit him up, and I was like, yo, I got your stuff. It looks good. You get on the college chart. You get in Hits magazine. You doing rap, Murder Dogs. You doing all these real dope things. I'm down. And he was like, okay, well, I'm gonna send you the contract. And I said, okay, with the contract, I want to own my record. I want to own the artwork. We're going to do a label deal. I'm not going to sign to you as T-Double. We're going to do a label deal with Kinetic. So it's going to be Interscope, Good Vibes, Kinetic. And I said, that's the only way I'm doing this deal. Yeah, I said, that's the only way I'm doing this deal because I need to sign my friends in Austin. Right. Because I saw that I was in there. I saw that I was in there now. You know what I'm saying? Right. And I didn't want to be the only one in there and be in Austin like, yeah, I got a deal, but I could have got you one, but I didn't think about it. Right? So I made sure I left that door open. So we did the contract, and he said, okay, now I need a record by, next week. And he wanted to do a single. And I said, no, let's do an album, but we agreed on an EP. That's where we settled on my Lost Scriptures EP. He said, I need it by next week. Because now, he's like, okay, if you're talking all that mess, make a record.
You got to show up.
So I didn't have an ASR. You're going to remember a lot of names in this story, too. I didn't have an ASR. I didn't have nothing to really pull off a record. I called DJ Crash, right?
Yeah, my boy Crash.
And I said, I called Crash, and I said, yo, Crash. I said, yo, I got a chance to make a record. I need an ASR. I need something. He was like, you can use mine. And I said, okay, and I need a place to record, right? Like, I need everything. And he was like, I got you. So Crash picked me up, dog, at probably like 6, 7, he'll tell you the story verbatim. Picked me up around 6, 7 o'clock at night, took me to Enterprise Rent-A-Car. There was a guy who worked there named Jay Sycamore. I don't know if you remember him. And in the back of Enterprise Rent-A-Car, he had a little studio set up, like his own personal studio.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Like it was like Round Rock or something. That used to be far back then, like Round Rock. Yeah. Damn. So Crash took me out there, brought an ASR in. Old boy set up all the gear, and he was like, "You want me to help you make your beat?" I said, "No, I need to. I move quick. Like just let me go." And I start knocking out beat. We probably didn't leave the studio till the sun came up the next day, 7 a.m., 8 a.m. And so that knocked out all those songs. I went to another studio and did a few more, and then I shot the DAT tape off. The DAT tape, right?
Oh man,
I shot the DAT. I shot the DAT tape to him, and Good Vibes. Okay. He called me back. He was like, "Cool, we got you in the schedule. The record's gonna be dope. I need a picture to put on the cover." I said, "No pictures."
Okay.
And he said, "Why?" I said, "Because people are too judgmental, right? Like, they can look at a cover and be like, he look whack, or he looks southern, or he look country, right?"
Right.
I said, "No pictures." So we got a graffiti artist to do the cover, and on the back there's the Texas flag done with graffiti as well. But he was listening to my dad while we were on the phone. My dad ended, and we're talking. A song I produced with Mirage started playing, right? Okay. He heard the Mirage track I produced and was like, yo, hold on, who's that? What's that? I said, "Oh, that's my other childhood friend, because I've known Mirage as long as I've known Chili Fresh." Okay. Since we was like 13. He said, "Who's that?" I said, "That's my boy Mirage." He was like, "Man, that's banging." He was like, "That's soulful, that's different. Like, does he want a record deal?" Right? That was his question. Does he want a record deal too? I said, "Let me call him." Mirage was at Prairie View. I called him, woke him up. I said, yo, D, what's up? You want a record deal? He said, yeah. I said, I got you one. I'll knock it out. See you when you come home, right? I gave him the same deal that I got. He owns all his stuff. Awesome. He owns everything, you know, and even when it came into the publishing of his record, because I produced like all the tracks, featured on a few, I gave him 100% of the publishing of that record. You know what I'm saying?
See, that's awesome.
I said you can have 100%. That's really awesome. 100%, because I wanted him to take that, whatever he got off that record, and build him something else on top of it. And I always told him, I said, I don't want anybody to be up under me and feel like they have to ask me or be, you know what I mean? I was like, take this opportunity. I said, you're under Kinetic, right? You got to be under the label so we can move easier.
Right.
But everything else under there, you're free to do whatever you want to do. And then Good Vibes folded because they were about to get signed to Def Jam. I was about to be a Def Jam artist. They were moving to Def Jam, but they still had some unpaid debts with Interscope. Okay. So they got caught up, and at that time, Slum Village had signed with Jay Dilla. So we were label mates with Jay Dilla, and we were the only people that could leave that situation because we had a label deal.
Right.
Everybody else was signed as artists. So Jay Dilla started producing a lot of stuff independently, away from Slum. That's when his production really popped off because he couldn't do nothing with the group. So everybody else was kind of stuck there as label, and me and Mirage was like, we're free. We was in Vibe, Rap Pages, The Source, because they offered me an advance. They wanted to give me an advance too. Just kind of go into the music business aspect of it. Yeah, they offered me an advance. They offered me an advance, which was substantial. I said, put my advance towards promotion and marketing. Market the hell out of me.
Right. Yeah.
Because that way, when my
stuff out.
because when my deal is done with you, my buzz will remain because you promoted me to so many people.
That's right.
So if you had given me money, I probably would have blew it in Austin. Get a car. Yeah. Something. Because we were still kind of young, right? I said, do that. So when that deal ended, a lot of people was like, oh, T's fronting on Austin saying he's from L.A. because that's what the label was. Right? They were like, he fronting. So my next record was called Texas Resident, where I just brought it all back home and was like, no, I'm from the town. I'm from here. And then the same with Mirage. You know what I mean? Like, when his deal ended, he owns the artwork. He owns, we both released our records for like the 20-year anniversary of our own albums and kept 100% of the money now because of the deal that I negotiated back in 98 is when my record came out. Cool. So, and that's because I worked at Arista. I'd be sitting with the president of Arista, Cameron Randall, and I'd be in his office while he's negotiating deals. I'd just be sitting on the couch because if I got there, I was the intern, right? Yeah. I was giving out coffee and making whatever. And then my car broke down going to work, and he came and picked me up. And he was like, y'all got to remember to keep gas in your car, right? And he picked me up, and he was like, so what do you want to do? And I said, I want to be an exec. I want to, I want to be the best rapper. I want to be, He was like, come sit in my office. Yeah, he said, come sit in my office. So every time an artist would come, he was like, yo, T, he opened the door, Terrany. And I'd be in there for all those negotiations, contractual things. And he gave me a contract, which is probably like 50 pages long. and said, take this home, highlight what you think is a good part of the deal and what is bad, and bring it. That was like my homework at Arista. And so I would do that. I'd be up all night like, that sounds cool. That's, we weren't really Googling back then, right? Like, we weren't really all that. I was like, okay, that sounds cool. This sounds cool. I gave it back to him. He was like, you did pretty good. Keep coming to sit in my office. When Clive Davis came, because we're part of the Arista umbrella. When Clive Davis came there, he like called me out to the balcony to meet Clive and talk to him about stuff I'm doing. So when Clive came to South by Southwest years later, he was like, I remember you. When L.A. and Babyface, they had LaFace on Arista.
Correct.
When they came, they actually offered me an internship at LaFace.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And they were like, T.O., all those bands were brand spanking new. They hadn't really popped yet. And I was like, oh man, go to Atlanta. Like, I don't know anybody.
I don't have
the
money.
Wasn't
Atlanta yet.
Yeah. So I told him, I said, oh man, I don't think I can do it. And that was that's probably my only real bad mistake that I made then, because I would have been part of that whole explosion of stuff that was going on. But it was the fact that they were like, yo, we like what you're doing. We like your energy. We like how, people in the town respect you. Because we would go out places and nobody knew who L.A. Reid was or Babyface was. And I'd be out in the city with these folks, and they were like, everybody coming up, T-Double. They were like, yo, we like that. Come to Atlanta. And I was like, I can't. I still had that agreement, that packet they sent me at my mom's house from LaFace Records when they were like, come on out here. So I've been a part of a lot of interchangeable things, but with Good Vibes, that was when I really learned how the music industry can help you or it can break you. All about what you ask for from the initial contact with the label. Because they could have said, here's $20,000 advance. We own your record, right? We own everything on it. I wasted $20,000 because now I'm flossing in Austin.
And then it's on. Let the games begin.
And then they own the record. They own the record. They re-release it. They put it out in other countries. Man. Like, there's so many things they could do with that record, but the way I negotiated it, I still get publishing off that record. I still get, revenue off that record. I own that record. And so learning that part helped me later on when I got into the sync stuff with like Breaking Bad, Rick and Morty, submitting stuff for Transformers, all this other type of stuff. I know I'm talking a lot because I can just go on and on.
That's what I love. That's the informative thing, because the thing about Austin, and and this is the reason why this is a part of the reason why I did the podcast, because I kept hearing just through the grapevine, just weird, I don't know why, but I kept hearing this. Nobody's ever did anything from Austin. Nobody's ever made it from Austin.
Right.
Well, why ain't Austin ain't on the map? And I'm like, dude, are you serious? I said, I can name 20 people off the top of my just on my with myself included as 21 that have all signed deals and have all been on major companies and have all done so much stuff.
I tell people that all the time. I tell people that all the time, man. I'm like, when the Chronicle or whoever puts a hip hop artist on the cover, if you notice, they always add hip hop's about to break out in Austin. Hip hop is finally gonna blah blah blah, right? Like on my cover, it didn't say that because my cover was based on my transplant and my longevity in the scene. Yeah. But almost every 5 years or so, it's a hip hop act finally about to break out. And I tell them, I say, look, man, we had Casanova who was touring in Japan. We had 8-Town Variety Records. We had all these people who was doing things before I even got into the mix. But I used to go, I used to go to
Papa
Givens
Chuck
and
was
Rosewood.
The first one that had a deal.
Come on, I told him, I said when Papa Chuck cut his video, Trunk of Funk, I said everybody ran home to watch it on Rap City. Everybody was like, yo, Chuck. We would see him in the mall, be like, yo, Chuck. I remember a show at Doris Miller. I forget who was rapping, but Papa Chuck showed up, hopped on the stage, took the mic, and started doing his gangster reggae rap that he does.
Oh,
Papa Chuck got a Chuck. And took the mic from whoever that was and just started rocking, and nobody batted an eye. They was like, okay, that was kind of dope. That it's Papa Chuck.
Yeah, what you
even I think even the guy he took the mic from became like a backup dancer instantly for Papa Chuck, right? It's like nobody cared. It was like, okay.
No, man.
That's why.
See, that's what I was telling people. It's so funny because all our stories match so much that it's so funny. Just hearing the Casanova stories, and Quince was talking about Cass, and then Erica was talking about Cass, which is Dank, if people don't know. And so, and then I was sharing my stories with Cass, and it's like, he's like the one thing I think, I don't know, I tell everybody, you know, we have a lot of New York influence because a lot of people don't realize that, but Austin is the way it is because of the pioneers that were here at the time of hip hop. It was pretty much predominantly New York. And so we have this weird kind of southerny swag with this New York culture type weird thing going on. And so, you know, Cass was funny though, man. He's doing me the same way, so don't feel bad. I told Quince that I met Cass when I was like, I don't know, I may have been 11 or 10. So I'm touring, so I'm playing, you know, keyboard and singing and shit with blues bands and stuff. So this dude, I'm like, oh my God, I see the dude, and I'm like, oh my God, he's like DJing in a park, and he's just, he's huge. Hey, Cass, how do you do that? Oh, okay, well, this is what you do. Okay, now, did you get it? Yeah, I got it. All right, thanks, bye. See you later. Go on, kid. Go on.
Move it on.
So I had to leave, you know what I'm saying? So every time I would catch up to him, he would do the same thing. He'd say, oh, how do you do that? Oh, you press this button, that button, you do this, you do that. You got it? Yeah, I got it. So then I'd have to go to the music store. I have to go way out there out south because I live northeast. So I lived in Conley Park at that time, and then I moved to Springdale Manor Road. So then I go way out to the music store because they're playing on the equipment there, trying to remember what the hell he's teaching me. It's like, okay, how do you sample? Because he was like, I could play anything I hear, but sampling and all that, and oh hell no! I was like, what the hell is he doing? Why is he looping the record back and taking the sound? I was like, man, this is crazy. So he is the reason why I learned how to sample and all that. Him and Wink, I credit them for teaching me how to sample. But you know, that whole vibe, like you said, Austin, and that's something else I was gonna say. It's funny in the '90s. You're right. It took like a lot of my neighborhood people I grew up with, a lot of the dope dealers and everybody that I grew up with, they started to go in let's say they wanted to get into business. Let's just say it that way. So as they were starting to put their money into business, my label and my studio was around. So a lot of the dudes that was here, we were either going Houston, you know, in that direction with the South Houston-y sound, or you had like Cass and your side and that, you know, where you had like a New York kind of boom bat and all that kind of thing. And it was a trip because people would come here, even when I got, you know, like maybe years and years later, they would come here and they would go, why aren't you guys like together? Like, why don't y'all? And I'm like, we are together. I said, we all come from the same neighborhoods. We just, you know, maybe we don't, like, you know, we jump on each side of the street here and there and play. But it was all love, you know.
Yeah. I think the thing, you know, that about back then was like everybody was love, but we also respected everybody's space. Right?
Correct.
So like a lot of people weren't trying to do a bunch of collabos with everybody, not out of like you didn't like a person or beef, but it was just like, I'm over here doing my thing right now and they doing their thing. Because I remember A-Town Variety. I think I went to your house a couple of times, and I was like, I don't know if I was with Charles. I forget. I might have been with Skip.
You might have been with them. Yeah, they came. They came once or twice.
I think I might have been there one time, and I remember being there, and I was like, damn. I was like, this dude is like got hella groups. I was like, this cat is over here killing it, right? And I would sit there and I'd be like, man, I was like, this dude is like the cast of this side of town, right? Because like you had all the people you were giving tutelage to who were under you who were doing their thing, and I was like, man, A-Town Variety was, you know, even when we was working on the 2-4 Soldiers project, you know what I mean? Like, that's where we all kind of meshed in, kind of like on that project.
That's one of my
probably
favorite
the only project
albums.
we really kind of meshed in. That record, man, like I'm gonna tell you, if that record was released now, it'd be a million seller. Cause it's like, I got champagne in this cup, Hennessy in this cup. Like, I remember we blocked off Colony Park. We blocked off Colony Park and threw a big party when the 2-4 Soldiers. Like, it was real. The hood was rocking with us, and threw a big 2-4 Soldiers party to rock out with Buzzy and Woods and all that, because I lived right around the corner from Conley Park. So it was just like, you know, and that's the thing is like all of us, it was all love. Like at this moment, like I can't say I've ever heard a bad word about you, about A-Town Variety, about any of these other artists who were coming up there. It was always like, man, they working over there. We need to be working over here.
Yeah.
Like they putting out, you know, Creoles over there putting out a cassette or a CD. Like you were like No Limit. A cassette or a CD like every other month. You know what I mean? You was chunking. You was chunking them out like that. That's what you was doing.
Yeah.
With Cass, we were more like in training, right? It's like how to be a good artist, how to be well chiseled. So when you step in the public platform, people already think you got a deal. So we was taking longer to develop our thing over here, right? Because like you said, Cass was the first person that I actually saw press up their own record, and I was like, how did you do that? Like, that didn't cost you $1 million to make a record? He was like, nah, man.
Trust me, that freaked me out when I saw that record.
He was like, you go here and you do that. And I was like, Project Crew, I was like, damn, Claymore and all that.
That was
like,
a huge record, man. Huge.
Like,
huge.
Like, if you remember when Army Man came out, a lot of people thought it was Stetsasonic because it sounded like Daddy-O, the way Claymore was rapping.
Oh, yeah,
I thought it was.
Yeah.
When I heard it, I first heard Project Crew on K-Juice. Remember K-Juice out of what's that, Killeen?
Yeah.
I think it was in Killeen. They played that. Here's a new song by Project Crew, and they dropped it, and I was like, is that Stetsasonic? Who is that? And then got around Cass, and then
they sound like that.
He sounded like Daddy-O. Like you listen to it again, you would think it was Stetsasonic during that era.
Yeah.
And so I got around Cass and them, and I was like, yo, man, y'all killing. Like I would see them at the park. Claymore would wear the Gucci bag on his head, right? He had all the ladies. They had the dancers. Like it was just an experience to be there. And I would just stand by Cass, right, and be like, yeah, I'm gonna get here one day. I'm gonna do this one day because Cass I would tell Cass all the time, teach me. I got the rapping down. Teach me how y'all doing that. How y'all making records? How y'all teach me that part.
I wish I could have got to Cass on that part because I'd already already taught me a lot from that point, but I knew Cass, but I didn't like hang with him. I just would catch up to him here and there. So by the time that record came out, like I know Claymore is from the hood, so I knew everybody that was associated, but when I saw it, that's what threw me off when I got in there and I'm looking at the record and I'm like, I'm in the mall looking at the record and I'm like, are you fucking shitting me? This is a full record. And it wasn't just that it was in there. He had it in the front of the store. It was positioned like a new artist, but it was like a big artist, like as if he was
crazy.
And I'm looking at it and I'm like, how in the hell did he do that? I just saw him at the park a month ago. What the hell is this? So I had to figure that out. That was a mess. It was just like
just sitting around them, man, and watching them making them records, man. And I was just like him, Teddy Lee, like still coolest. Like Teddy Lee was there at the award show as well, because Casanova got a honors too, an award at that honors thing. But just me being a young cat sitting around and watching Teddy Lee rocking in the studio, watching Casanova making these beats and watching them put these records out. I would go home and tell my mom and be like, yo, I'm about to get it. Like, I think I'm about to do something really special because because a lot of people knew I had talent, so I would get approached by managers and artists and, little labels all the time. But I said when I got around Cass, I was like, yo, this right here, I think this could be something. It's going to be a learning lesson either way. Right, but Cass was just like you say. Cass was just a cool ass dude. Like you say, how do you do that? He'll teach you how to push some buttons. Man. You want to know how to DJ? He got you. You want to know how to make beats? He got you. He's an honest opinion, right? Like I've never heard Cass tell an artist like, "Yo, that was dope," and it was really trash. Right. So a lot of what Cass was to me is how I am to young artists now. So when they come over here to the studio and they sit on the couch and they playing me something, I'm like, nah, that ain't it. And I say, I understand your feelings get hurt. Mine did too. Mine got hurt too.
That ain't it.
But it's the truth. Yeah, that's trash.
It is
right?
true.
Like that ain't your feelings gonna get hurt, but it's better you hear it from a person locally that you know and trust than a label or a manager or somebody who could really open that door for you and then they bust your bubble. we want to get you tight now. That's why Cass was like, that ain't hot. He would be Papa Chuck. That ain't dope. That ain't this. Like I would see Cass, I would see how he moved, and I was like, can you be my mentor? Like, can you just?
Yeah.
I'll just come over here and sit on this couch. I won't say shit, you know. And Cass was always like, yeah, and like the one thing Cass told me when he was outside of Serendipity. Remember that club?
Oh man,
it was off of Fifth Street. Cass was DJing there. I was outside talking to him one day, and I was telling him, I said, I want to get an ADAT machine. And he was like, oh, I got one. He said, what you need to start doing, you need to start buying your own gear. He was like, I'll let you use it. I'll let you use a mic, you know, whatever. You my dog. I got you, right? You like my little bro. But he said, eventually, he said, I might move. I might get married. I might, you know, I might not want to do this shit no more. He was like, get your own gear. And from that day, I remember we were standing outside of Serendipity. That night, it just turned something, was like, he's fucking right. I do need to get my own stuff because I'm so motivated all the time.
And you know what? That segues me to another thing that I have got to ask you, because I swear to God, dude, I have never seen that much gear in my life. I have been to so many studios I think I've been to God knows how many studios from the East Coast to the West Coast, big studios, little studios, you name it, huge studios. I think you have the best collection of gear. Because it's not just gear. See, some people just go grab shit and they just put it together and they, ooh, this used to be back in the day. No, you grabbing stuff we use. Like we really used to use. And I'm saying, I know that piece of equipment. I had that.
Exactly. And a lot of
where
it,
are you getting all this stuff from?
Well, one site I go to a lot called reverb.com, right? And you know, you can get a lot of cool, you can get a lot of cool stuff on there. And a lot of it, like there's a store called Switched On, which is here, which sells a lot of vintage gear. And so I'm really into the vintage stuff.
12th Street?
No. It's over on 51st now. I could walk to it, actually.
Okay.
It's like kind of over here a little bit. But, you know, it's like I got really into vintage gear. And it was just like I started going to other people's studios, and I would say, oh, that's a Moog. That's that sound on Parliament. That's that sound on that old 70s record, 80s record. I was like, how much is that? All right, let me save up. And I go get it. But I also had good relationships with people because I wasn't an a-hole, right? I've always been like cool as hell with folks. So if I saw something like, yo, what's up with that? They'd be like, yo, you can have that for like half off or something. Like a friend of mine had a Moog Prodigy, which I have over here. Right there, the Moog Prodigy. Oh that's from 75. That's from 1975, right? So he had that, and he called me and he was like, "Yo, T," he said, "I want to get a drum set, but you know I can't have the drum set and the synthesizer." He was like, "So I'm gonna sell it," and I was like, "Oh man, okay." I said, "Well, how much you selling it for?" He was like, "Oh, like you know, a couple of $100," and I was like, "I'm on my way." And we were and we cool, we boy, and we were like, "Okay, look, so if I want to sell it, he gets first dibs on it for me to sell it back to him."
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
That's how we did it. So I'm just not gonna post it on Craigslist. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna back him because he looked out for me when I got. I said, you know what? If I ever want to sell it, I'm not gonna sell it. But I said, if I ever get to that point where I want to, you the first person I'm gonna hit up to, so you can buy it back because he really liked it too. And so we, that's how the relationship started.
You got my whole childhood behind you. You got my whole childhood behind you. I swear to God.
I got the NPC. I got my latest acquisition is the Oberheim right here, Oberheim Matrix 6. I got Junos over there, and of course I got tons of rack gear, right? Like I got, I'm a big SSL kid. 'Cause that's what I started on. So I got a bunch of SSL, EPS, some Chandler stuff, and then kind of back here it's like.
Yeah, those are awesome.
Yeah, and kind of over here is like a whole console, basically. This is the center section of a console, of a SSL-G console. This is about 8 channels of SSL-J console. I have 2 consoles here. This is the SSL-J, and this is the SSL-G series that goes with this. So I can mix on the G series or on the J series if I want to, right? Without having a big console. And I bought these like piece by piece, little module by module, right? Like, because I knew what I wanted. I said, yo, I'm gonna build it up. So now I have like two different kind of consoles I can mix on and work on and do mixing and all that. But yeah, man, I'm a gearhead. I got like 5 modes.
Man, you man, because I remember when I was little, my mom, because my mom used to tour with Tina and Ike and all them, and so and my dad was a blues legend, and so I would be in the studio as a kid, and all them reels and all this stuff. When they used to have the tapes and the reels and all that, man, I used to pull them, and I'd be grabbing stuff and pulling stuff out. Oh yeah, I'd piss them off real. They sitting there trying to cut the thing, and I'm sitting there like, ooh.
Oh my God,
man, you got my whole childhood behind. I'm sitting there thinking of all that gear and the like the Les Pauls and all that kind of mess when I was real little. I mean, you can think about so much gear that made so many sounds, and now they just put it in a pack. So now you can just get it online.
Yeah, you can get the software of it, and it's like sometimes I get in those conversations of which is better, analog or digital, right? And it's really subjective. It's really subjective. But in all honesty, analog wins every time. And the reason analog wins is because there's actual circuits, there's actual capacitors, there's actual transistors within it that make it like a Moog. When you have a Moog, it breathes. The circuits are working.
That's right.
It gives it that distorted thing. Whereas a sample pack or plug-in is an emulation of that's numbers that they've quantified to sound like that. It's not that. But to an untrained ear, if you never sat in front of a real like us, if you never sat in front of the real thing, you won't really know the difference. Yeah. So sometimes when people come over here to the studio, I have a hands-on policy. So if you come to the studio and you want to play a keyboard or I'm like, do that. I don't ever be like, don't touch that. I'm like, do that. I've had people come over here, sit down in front of the Moog, start playing the Moogs, because I have 5 of them. Start playing the Moogs and being like, this sounds nothing like my plug-in. Because now they hear it.
No. Oh, no.
They can hear it through the Genelec. They can hear it through some good monitors, too. They'll be like, oh, no, this is, the plugins are cheaper. Like when I travel, and stuff, like I have my plugins. Like when I go to the Grammys or whenever I travel, I have my plugins with me so I can work quick. But I always prefer being in the studio. I'll always prefer sitting behind a console with.
Yeah, see, I'm fortunate enough that I know what they sound like. So even if I do a plug-in, you wouldn't know it because I could actually, go in there and twist it and bend it to where it'll actually sound exactly like what it's supposed to. But it take you, like you said, the work that it takes to make a plug-in sound like a real instrument. I don't think people realize they do not sound like real instruments. They just don't. I'm sorry.
With a lot of producers, it's like they don't want to do the tweaking part, like you say, right? They just want to put it on the channel, put it on the instrument, channel, and go and leave it as is and call it like that. But you gotta finesse it, right? And once you even with the Prodigy, right? Like you still got to turn knobs. It's not out the box. You still gotta work it. You know what I mean? There's no presets. That's another good thing about it. No. So you can't turn it on and say pull up Friday, Monday, whatever. It's a whole new day when you're touching on it. It's a whole
like
new.
That Juno.
Yeah. I got what I have over here.
Junos, boy, they got them knobs.
Yeah. What I have over here, I have the Juno SH60, and it's a 106. Yeah. It's a Juno 106, but this was the model that has speakers on it. The Juno 106 doesn't have speakers. Oh. This version has speakers, so you can take it to the park. Okay. You can take it anywhere and actually play it in the park or somewhere. I think it might put batteries in it too, but the guts, the inside of it is the 106. It just has a different body, and different architecture design. But those are kind of rare too, the HS60. I got a Linn drum over here. I got an Oberheim DX, which a lot of the early Beastie Boy stuff done on, Slick Rick stuff done on. LL Cool J's radio was done on the DX. Yeah. So I have that over here. I got this is like my drum wall. That's like my synth. And I'm telling you about the studio. This whole space where that wall is right there, this used to be an open floor plan. Like this was an open space upstairs in my house. It was just a big room. Had a wall put in. So on the other side of this wall is my drum set, my Crumar Rhodes, my ASR, my guitars, my basses, and it's big enough. It's another bedroom type size, so people can do vocals in there too. And it's a little,
Gotcha.
sonic-wise, acoustic-wise, it's a little liver. Has a little bit more reverb in there. While this room is real dead. This is a good listening environment. Like, there's not a lot of reverb going on in here. So I try to make the studio, even though it's in my house, I still try to make it tight enough to do quality records out of here.
So what are you doing currently? What's going on in your life like now, 2024?
Man, well, I'm getting back into working on, I took some years off of dropping albums, even though a lot of people think I was still dropping albums because I was doing sync stuff for like movies and cartoons and stuff like that. So I still had stuff out there, but I haven't dropped a T-double album in probably the longest it's ever been for me, maybe like 3 years. I haven't dropped a record.
Okay.
Because at one point I was putting out 2 albums a year back in the day. Because I have 37 T-double albums. So at one point I was doing 2 albums a year, 3 albums a year. Like I was on my Prince thing, right? I was knocking them out. But then I had the transplant, right? And that kind of slowed me down where I just got to more relaxing and trying to find new things to rap about. New sounds, new vibes, that's when I kind of built up the studio with the gear. I wanted to be able to make new sound, like stuff you hear in your head. Because, sometimes you'll hear something in your head and there's no plug-in for it. There's no patch for it. There's no... Yeah. You can't find it, right? You're like, if I can just hear this whistle, that's what I'm saying. If I just hear this thing, now I can make it, right? Now I can, like, find that sound. So I'm working on a new T-double album. Hopefully I have it done by middle of the year, maybe. But I do a lot of sync. My main thing is sync for film, TV, which a lot of people want to get into now. But I got into that. I got into that so early that it was still brand new. Like there weren't a lot of gatekeepers, right? It wasn't as hard to get into. But I would just happen right place, right time during South by. I went to a panel where this woman was talking about sample clearances. She clears like samples for 50 Cent, Common, De La, all of them. She was on a panel. And everybody went to the day party during South by Southwest. They went to get drunk, right? All the hip-hop guys was out getting drunk.
Yeah.
I'm like, nobody's at this hip-hop sampling party? Sampling panel? Nobody? So I'm in there, and then when it's done, I call her over, and I say, hey, that was a great panel, whatever. Do you do sync for film? Mm-hmm. Do you get people's music in there? And she said, I don't, but I have a friend who does. And I was like, oh, I would love to meet her. She said, well, how much music do you have? I said, I have, maybe at that time, I said, I probably had like maybe 15 albums, right? I said, I got like 15 albums, a bunch of stuff I haven't released, like a bunch of stuff. So the next day or 2 days later, her friend calls me and says, hey, my homegirl told me you want to get in the sync. Is that true? I said, yeah. She said, you got X amount of albums. I said, yeah. She said, I'll send you the contract. She never heard my music. She had never met me. But just because of her homegirl said,
homegirl's friend.
Yeah, this was a real cool dude. Like, even her homegirl didn't hear my music. She just saw how people was like, T-double, what's up? T-double, you know what I mean? She just saw the love I was getting.
Sometimes not what you know is who you know.
Neither one of them heard my music. So she sent me the contract, and she got a very small, like now you do sync. The person who gets you the deal normally gets 50%, and you get 50%. Right? Yeah. So if you have other writers, producers, whatever, you split that out of your 50%.
Yeah, split that
and they take theirs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you get a $10,000 placement, they get 5, you get 5. Well, when I got my deal, my situation was she got 15%. Right? Mm-hmm. So that deal has grandfathered. I've never changed that deal. And I've been with her maybe 18 years, something like that. Okay. It's been a while. Wow. My deal has never changed. My deal has never been altered, nothing. And she's still working syncs for me. And so the way I like to do my syncs is I got so many albums, I give them to different supervisors. Like I might get 5 to you. I might get 5 to this person. 10 to, I got 37 albums, right? So I got a lot of chess pieces. I might give 10 to this person. And I'll tell them, I'll say, you have 3 months to give me a couple of placements, or I'll take those records back and give them to somebody else. Right. Like it's all the negotiations of it. So syncing is my thing. Like with the Breaking Bad placement, that's probably my biggest placement as far as financially, revenue stream wise, because the show was so big, and it's shown like when I give my publishing statements, France, Germany, Senegal, everywhere, Russia. It's that show. It's being shown. We might not see it in America on TV, but it's shown all over the world. But like I'm making money. I'm making money right now talking to you because of that placement. And
that's right.
It goes back to friendship because when when that placement was offered, they wanted to buy my song, right? They wanted to give me some money and buy my track. My friend who was working that deal, she said, how about you own the song and you just get the publishing. You just eat off the publishing. You know, the show, Breaking Bad was season 4, so it was already big. I had never watched it in my life. I didn't know nothing about Breaking Bad till they approached me. Because I don't really be sitting I don't really be watching TV like that. And so I had to ask people, what's Breaking Bad? They were like, oh man, it's about drugs. It's a great show. I said, okay, let's do the deal. Let's do the deal. And I'm gonna tell you something else. How I won that deal, how I got everything I wanted, was they assumed I would take the payoff, right? And so they had already took my song and synced it and synchronized it. That's what sync it. They synchronized it to the picture.
They already took it.
They had already placed it, so it was ready to get aired already. They was hoping I would say, hell yeah, I'll take that money, and they could sign off and go about their business. I came back with, no, I don't want that. No. I want this. And since it was so late in the game, they couldn't change. I think they were trying to get like CeeLo. After I said no, I want this, but then CeeLo was too much and too late for them to negotiate a situation.
They had to run with it.
They had to run with it. And then the first time I saw Breaking Bad was the episode where my song is in. That was the first time I sat down and even watched that show. And it was dope, man. I was like, oh shit, like I'm on a pretty major show, right? And then you're like, but what them publishing checks gonna look like? Because they might not be nothing.
Man.
You're not publishing it. That might not be nothing. But then they started rolling in, and every quarter when them checks hit, for years now. That was 2010. So 2024, I just got a publishing check with Breaking Bad on it. So it's that long, right?
It's been lucrative, you know, like
all
you
the
said,
way through.
Publishing is
all the way
through. I got some
but
stuff overseas, and you don't know what the hell you're going to get out of that.
Exactly. You just got to know what you're asking for when you get that situation. See, a lot of people see the sync deal and see, like, I'll put your song in a commercial. Here's $10,000. And you're in a Pepsi commercial or you're in a trailer for a movie. I've seen people get money for trailers, like $20,000 to be in a trailer. Trailers usually pay out like $100,000, $200,000, right? Right. Commercials, $100,000, $200,000. But if you're not in the know, you're not going to know there's bigger money there. They hope you take the least amount so they can give a bigger chunk to Taylor Swift to be in it, right? So they can give that on top of somebody else's. So you got to know how to negotiate. Breaking Bad, Rick and Morty. I'll do some stuff with Transformers, Rise of the Beast. Just working on a lot of things in the pipe. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I stay busy on. That's why I'm always in the studio, right? Like people are like, you just be sitting in your studio. I be making tracks all day, putting them on my hard drive, right? Like I have 3 hard drives running at all times, and each one is like 12 terabytes. So it's always if I'm sitting here and I just come up with an idea, I dump it to my drive. I have my own personal cloud. So when I go to France or I go to Portugal, I can access all my files without going through a third party, and that's here as well. So it's like
that's pretty. Cool.
You know, some people put their stuff in the Google Cloud or whatever. You can access it. My thing is right here. I can access it easy. Just get on my phone and be like, like when I was in France with a young guru, and we were like listening to beats, and Jay-Z was zooming in, and Jay Electronica, and all these people was over there, and they was like, yo, let's hear some more beats. And I was like, I didn't have my cloud at that time, so I had to call, tell somebody to get on my computer, tell somebody which file to go, download that MP3, and it worked. Like they heard the music. Like we did a lot of music that might come out that was really dope, but that process, I was like, when I get back to America, I'm buying my own cloud. That's it. Yeah. Because that process, because I'm sitting there with young guru, you know, doing some stuff, talking about Jay-Z. We're working on all these projects, and I got to wait like 20 minutes to get an MP3 sent to me, right? It's cool that we was all boys while we were sitting in there, but I know how I would have been if I was with an artist, and I'm like, 20 minutes? You don't have that now, right? I'd have been hot too, like, you know what? But they was really dope. They was like, okay, we get it. This, and they was like, next time, make sure you got your. I was like, let me get that cloud. So now I can pull up my cloud.
I remember.
And I have access to like 12 terabytes of stuff.
I remember back in the day when we didn't have none of the internet, we used to have to mail shit to people.
Yes.
That was you talking about angry and having to take time and send reels and send, oh my God. We used to have to send, like we had the ADATs. We sent ADATs to people. That used to be, now you talking about, man, that was not a fun thing. I remember I sent my ADATs to California and I didn't know at the time. Like I was brand new. This was like 93 or something. And so I was like, okay, I didn't know. I knew that I was sending it, but I didn't really understand like the way the labels and the way the other producers would kind of look at it. So when I sent it, they sent it back and I was like, okay. And they said, yeah, we're going to use it, but we're going to use just your cowbell or some shit or, your kick drum. I'm like, huh? I'm like, what you mean I use my kick drum? But then they sent me a check and it was like a big check. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I shut the hell up. I wasn't really tripping on it. But then I realized I'm listening to some music later on, and I'm like, hey, man, that's my kick drum, and that's my damn whistle. That's my stuff. But I already sold my rights to it, and I didn't realize that, what they were doing at the time, and I tried my best to teach people that that work for hire and flying out, and, back then you couldn't trust, you don't want to take none of your stuff with you. You want to take that 2-track with that little one side would be jacked up and the other side would be good. I mean, it's just little tricks that I think Cass taught me that because I told Cass that little story. I said, man, I had went up to do this thing. He said, no, you don't ever take your masters with you. Don't take nothing like that. You go up there with a messed up left side or something. So I'm like, oh, okay, so you can do that? Yeah. I said, yeah, you don't want to give them nothing. Give them like a little portion.
Yeah, because if they want it, then they'll pay you. You know what I mean? Like I got real big on that. Like when I would sit with big artists, and I'd be playing beats, and they'd be like, "Yo, let me get a dub of that," so I can just vibe on it till. Nah. I don't even do that. I don't even do where I give you some music and I'm like T double, and like put my tag all on it. You get nothing.
No.
You can fly me. You can fly me out to mix it. Like I did a project the other day where they like brought me in the studio to produce it, to write it, like we can do that all day. You know what I mean? But as far as me sending you like a beat for you, if you haven't cut a check or we don't have an agreement or we don't have a contract, you're not getting none of these tracks. And that's another thing about sync is like when you do sync, and it's best you own all the music in it, right? Because you have the multi-track. Because I've done a few placements where they're like, okay, take the rap out, which is me.
Right. Yeah.
They'll be like, take that rap out. And I'm like, for real? Y'all don't like that rap? Like, I like that rapper. I think that rapper's kind of dope. I kind of like him. I think he has potential. It's a guy I'm working with. It's a new guy I'm working with, right?
Oh shit.
They're like, nah, take that rap out. Leave the hook, but take the rap out. And I was like, but it's like I had the ease to do it, right? And with a couple of agencies I'm with, they'll write me like 8 in the morning because they're all in different time zones. They'll write me like 8 in the morning, 7 in the morning, and say we need a track like this. You know what I mean? If they don't already have it within the catalog I sent them, they'll say we need something like this. So my studio stays on, so I can get up in the morning, come up here, hook up the MPC,
knock it
out, send it to them. Because with sync, usually all you got to send is like a minute and a half of a track, maybe a minute. You don't even need a full song.
Because they ain't going to use it this much.
Yeah, they're never going to use a full song in whatever they're doing, right? So you send it to them, they hit you back and they say, okay, they like it. It goes up the ladder to the next person. And then the music supervisor be like, okay, we like it, sign off on it, cut them a check or let's make the deal happen and go about your business. But when you work with certain agencies that just got that clout, it ain't even really like I haven't had to like sell myself to an agency in a long time. Be like, hey, I make beats. Want to hear some beats? It's like now they're calling me and saying,
I hated that part.
Yeah, that's like especially with me because I'm like an introvert. So for me to like stand up in front of somebody and say, hey, I make beats, and I'm all awkward with it, right? Like, hey, I make, unless I know somebody, like I can talk for hours with you and people that I really know. I can talk all day. If I'm standing in front of people talking business, I can do that. But just random conversations, and I was just like, I don't know. But now she'll call me, or he'll call me, be like, yo, they like that one track you did. They asked, could you do this to it, that to it? Of course, I got the multi-track. Let me pull it up, You know, sometimes I have them on Zoom, and I'll be playing the beat and be like, you want what taken out now? Okay, boom. How's that?
Yeah.
Okay, let me dump it, send it on. Like, that's easy work. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
all you need is a couple of good placements, and you're good. Like, you don't really have to, you know, they can cover you for like a whole year.
But man, I tell you what, I know we're gonna have to get on, and I know that I was so happy. I had to get you one of the major pieces in the city, and I know that the whole podcast thing for me, that's my goal, is to really just show light on a lot of the people that I know, that I saw working, that I know working, that I know that was doing the thing, that I know that was really out here moving and shaking and hitting. Just because a lot of us did the work, man. We weren't looking for the paydays and the, you know, I want to be famous. And, you know, I was in the studio, man. I wasn't trying to do all that craziness. You know what I'm saying?
Boys be flexing, in the game like a pin 'em out the chain. The boys are on the tank, ain't no never loving, man. Will I be bouncing while they outsing and the boys gon' hate? Some boys be popping trunk, but I be popping tailgates. The trophy truck, shit, no book.